Mr. Speaker, we've had some discussions. And let me state this from the very outset, that we are beginning to witness some unfortunate events in this House. Mr. Speaker, we are procuring the sanitizers and placing them at advantage positions. What we are beginning to notice is that a few individuals are draining the sanitizers and taking them elsewhere, which is very serious. The Speaker, we need to activate the CCTVs, and anybody who is caught in this is not only going to be named and shamed, but appropriate sanctions will be applied on that person. It cannot be that sanitizers are placed at advantage positions and then overnight will come and everything is gone. It cannot happen. The Speaker, what I mean by overnight doesn't mean necessarily that it happened in the course of the night. Even whilst you sit, members are sitting, and then you step out, you go to where you saw a sanitizer that was almost full, and within 1 hour, everything is gone. It cannot be.
Okay, so let's put that question to the two members in the studio. Andrew Ejapamesa is Member of Parliament for 2nd D. He's also Vice Chair of the Communications and Privileges Committee. He has some answers to give on this. Also in the studio is Al-Hassan Suhuyini, who is Member of Parliament for Tamale North. He's on the Lands and Forestry Committee as well as the Appointments Committee. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Why are the sanitizers in Parliament? Like after an hour it goes, what do you guys do with it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, let me say good morning to my colleague yourself and our cherished viewers, particularly my constituents in 2nd D. I use the sanitizers and when required, and so I do not know to what extent that the leaders' comments suggest that MPs are the ones who are draining the sanitizers.
Yes,
beyond MPs, there are
other
people who also work in the presence of Parliament, and I'm not suggesting that anybody, as it were, has been siphoning the sanitizers. Maybe because of the pandemic.
So people are using it more frequently?
People are using it more frequently.
I don't know how.
Because I've had the sanitizer in my car.
Full and then in an hour.
Hold on. I've had the sanitizer in my car for like forever. I use it infrequently. But these days, when I enter the vehicle, the first thing I do is to pump. When I'm stepping out, the first thing I do is to pump. So I've seen that it is reducing at a faster rate than it used to be in the past. So it's entirely possible that, you know, because of the pandemic, people are being extra cautious, you know, and are using the sanitizer more often, you know, because we've always had sanitizers in the washrooms of Parliament. You know, it's not a new introduction. And so I wonder to what extent that, you know, but of course, it comes at a cost. And so if there's some observation that people potentially are siphoning it, then it was important to bring it to the fore so that, you know, people who are engaged in that act, I trust my very good friend will not be siphoning sanitizer into his office.
I don't know, I think it's just surprising that this was an issue that came up on the floor.
No, you know, the media picked it up and are making an issue out of it. Well, of course, I mean, a lot of things are said in the chamber on the regular basis. Particularly on Fridays when we are discussing the business statements for the following week. All sorts of issues come up, you know, which are not picked up by
this is related to, this is developing, it's part of the bigger picture. So I don't know, what do you do with the sanitizer in Parliament? May I ask you?
Mahavi, good morning to you. Good morning to Mesa, Honorable Mesa, and good morning to our viewers, especially the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. I think that I agree with Honorable Masha that it's a wonder why you have, of all the things that happened in Parliament yesterday, decided
it's just the opener.
Decided to further the mischief of the majority leader yesterday. I call it mischief because, I mean, the question has an answer that is known to you already as to what we do with the sanitizers. what do we do with sanitizers? Exactly, I
But
mean...
even he is surprised at the rate at which it's going down.
Yes, in fact, last night I saw a release from the Corporate Affairs Department in Parliament that, you know, announced that they were going to begin to regulate the number of people who visit Parliament. It is open to the general public, and the number of visitors who come to Parliament sometimes exceed even the number of MPs in a day.
And they're your own visitors?
Not really. Some
because
of them are
I think
visitors.
Joseph reported, our parliamentary correspondent reported that you're not receiving visitors in the gallery.
Well, that's the thing I'm talking about. So that decision was taken yesterday, that we are no longer receiving visitors in the gallery. But until yesterday, students and, you know, people of interests, I mean, various interest groups used to come to Parliament. And so if they come to Parliament and the sanitizers are around, you don't expect that if they have use of it, they will be barred from it. You also have a huge, you know, number of staff in Parliament who are non-MPs. They are many. I mean, the service personnel alone are so many in Parliament, and they are all over the place. They are walking about, you know, doing work, I believe, but they also use this hand sanitizer. So the population of Parliament is not small, and that is why some of us are of the view that perhaps we should be thinking of not only reducing the numbers that you know, congregate there in a day, but we should also actually be thinking of suspending, because we are a high-prone area, a high-risk area, considering the fact that many MPs are travelers, staff of Parliament are travelers, and we also come into contact with non-citizens, people who also come from abroad.
But
so
now you don't have to travel. Now nobody really is traveling.
Yeah, but
and if somebody traveled and came back, they have to be kept away.
No, we have people who traveled and came back and have not yet, you know, done the 14 days.
You should point them out.
And they are in Parliament. I remember last Friday during the business statement, I invited the Speaker to request, you know, that all MPs who have traveled in the last week be made to undergo compulsory testing, so that we could assure ourselves that, you know, they were not carriers. So as we share the same chamber with them,
if they are not exhibiting,
it doesn't matter.
But how about the self-isolation? Shouldn't they keep themselves away for the 14 days?
They should, but it is not happening.
So name them. I mean,
you
could name them on the floor.
We did, but the point I'm making is that it shouldn't just be about the responsibility of the individual. We're talking about an institution, and it has leadership. So if we agree as an institution that anybody who traveled in the last 14 days should self-quarantine or should undergo a compulsory test, that is more meaningful than saying, hey, you travel, don't come here again. That is not orderly, and that is not the way, you know, to go. That's why I made that appeal to the Speaker, you know, last Friday. And you may have read what the World Health Organization boss also said, that the numbers in Africa may actually be low because the testing is not robust enough. I am of the view that if for nothing at all, if we are unable to even carry out, you know, widespread testing, let's zero in on places that are high risk, like Parliament, like the Flagstaff House. Let's test all the workers there.
You mean the museum in Jubilee House?
Museum in Jubilee
Flagstaff
House.
House is a museum in the Jubilee House complex.
Well,
is it?
Well,
yes.
Well, so it is depending.
It's a very small museum.
Depending.
So the Jubilee House then is the Jubilee House you're referring to?
That's where they are aspiring to go in 2021.
You know, depending on how, you know, I don't want to double in this. I mean, Nkrumah used that place.
No,
as
go
Flagstaff
ahead.
House.
I didn't think you'd go there, please.
I think so, but I think it's just important. Sometimes students listen to us, and they are younger; they don't know the history. So it's important that maybe they understand why this.
So I guess he's talking
Nkrumah
about the
used it as a
changes that
Flagstaff
have
house,
happened
yes.
there.
I'm talking about
where the conference center
you can call it
used to be a race course. What's the name of the place?
You can call it Jubilee House.
What's the name of the conference center? It used to be a race course.
No, you can just draw
so
my
why don't
attention.
we call it race course?
No, you can just draw my attention that it's now called Jubilee House.
You are very much
it's
aware.
still called
It's been
Flagstaff
called Jubilee House since 2007 or 8 when it was completed.
Yeah, so I'm saying that.
So you think everybody in
the
that
seat of
structure should be
the
tested?
seat of government should be trusted. That should be tested.
And it doesn't
Everybody
matter if
there.
they've traveled or
It shouldn't
not.
matter because you see, they have received visitors. They have received visitors from other countries. It shouldn't matter. They should test everybody there. Test everybody in Parliament. Let's do that. At least if we can't make it, so widespread that we go to all institutions. But I believe these are institutions that are exposed. Let's test everybody.
So what do you make of the suggestion?
Well,
have you traveled in the last week?
The last time I left the shores of this country and returned, I believe, was in December.
Okay.
I do not have any objection to a request by anybody when the request is sincere to the effect that some persons who are within a certain category ought to be tested. I don't have any objection to that at all. But to what end, really?
But do you feel
Because,
safe that you're
look,
sitting in Parliament with people who have traveled and returned in the last week?
Of course, if we go into the chamber and we hear coughing, incessant coughing from a particular section, we would all ask that that person takes appropriate steps. Okay.
It may not always begin with the coughing.
Well, sneezing, all the symptoms that, and indeed,
they say
these
some people
days,
actually are carriers, but they don't even show the symptoms. But they can
because there's a gestation period.
Exactly.
Okay, prior to which the symptoms will begin to manifest. But the symptoms would definitely manifest at a point. So there are temperature, thermometers out at the front.
In Parliament?
Yes, when you
so
enter.
Also they check
everyone. They check everybody who is entering the premises of Parliament.
Okay.
And so, well, just temperature is part of the screening process. Okay.
No, but can I talk about something here? This is Parliament. This is representative of the people. And if you've traveled in the last week and you're not self-isolating for a certain period, then that's bad precedent.
Yes, I agree
sending
entirely.
A good signal out there.
And I think that the persons who have gone out of town and come back, and they know themselves, should do the needful.
But they are obviously not doing it.
They're not doing it.
Well, I do not know the particular individuals sitting here.
Mr. Suhuyini, you know.
I cannot tell.
Oh, there are a number of them. I mean, on last Friday, because he volunteered to mention his name,
Sam George
volunteered. Yes. He said,
But is he still in Parliament? Was he in
yes,
Parliament
he's still in
yesterday?
Parliament.
But that's wrong.
No, but he was requesting that the Speaker, because you see, if you don't even have the permission to do that, you will be marked absent. You'll be marked absent. So he was also requesting the Speaker to ensure that people self-quarantine or are tested compulsory.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but you can
He
still go
supported
through
my call.
the administrative process of requesting for you to be excused because you are just returned to
So
the
why
Parliament.
don't we make it an institutional directive?
Look, this is not a matter that I will argue over because really,
why should it be left to the individual choice? When we know the individual can be reckless, when we know the individual can choose not to.
I don't think reckless is an appropriate word to use.
Yes, I agree. I would have wanted a better word, but we know individuals can choose not to do what is expected of them. We know that. But if you make it an institutional directive, then it becomes mandatory for anybody who falls within that category to take necessary precautions
so for now,
to protect all
Parliament
of us.
hasn't made that decision.
No, we haven't, and it's not safe.
So how are you sending the messages across to your constituents? Do you know what's happening there, even as you sit in the center?
Well, I've liaised with the MC, the mayor in my
Metropolitan Assembly.
Absolutely, and of course, steps are being taken. Yesterday, if you recall, the press briefing that was held, the local government minister also indicated the steps that they were taking you know, with respect to the local governance structure in disseminating information and also managing the markets and providing the appropriate logistics to ensure that our market women particularly were safe. Thankfully, the schools have closed. And so many of the school pupils or students that would have expected to be in school are no longer in school. So it's just the few spots, you know, markets, bus stations, terminals, that the transport minister and of course the local government minister have indicated the steps that are being taken to ensure that there's some sanity, if you like, in that space. Because you see, Marvi, this coronavirus thing, for me, it's the rate of spread, okay, that is unprecedented with respect to several other viruses that have broken out in the past. And so it's important that we all practice the social distancing regime that is being recommended. I mean, offset, we're all discussing that if the situation doesn't improve or there's no clear containment, if you like, of course, I mean, we've not gotten to the stage where other nations are experiencing, particularly in the Italies and the United States of this world. But I guess that because many of the contacts have been traced, okay, and have been put in some isolation, there's a potential that some may have slipped through, okay, but it may be necessary for your station to reconsider even the arrangement on the set. You know, of course, I do not expect that you put us in various sections because your cameras may not be able to capture all of us at a go. But I guess these are things that we need to begin to think through and see how it is that we can limit the person-to-person contact so that, you know, we can contain this dreaded virus that is spreading you know, across the globe and causing huge havoc to the lives of people. Because yesterday night I was listening to CNN, you know, for the most part of the night. I mean, it's pretty scary. Lifestyles are being changed completely. I mean, states, the entire United States is in havoc. You know, and even they have better health systems as opposed to ours. As we perish the thought that, you know, we have that kind of situation here, it will be catastrophic. And so it's important that we take steps, you know, devoid of the politicking, you know, and rally round and see how we can work together to ensure that this thing doesn't become something else.
Mr. Suhuyini, I was taking you back to the constituency. Let's talk about what's happening there.
And I will also take it from the points that my honorable colleague ended, devoid of the politics. You know, it's important that we don't see everything in this fight that the nation is supposed to be, you know, behind as just mere politics. We shouldn't. I mean, if I tell my brother to make sure that he washes his hand, you know, frequently, when I don't see him doing that, it's not because I am NDC and he's MPP and so I want to make him look bad. But very often, it is very easy for political, because I'm a politician and I've said he should wash his hand and he's a politician, then it means I want to make him look bad. And that is where this whole talk of devoid of politics becomes, for want of a better word, crazy to me. Then you don't even know what to do again. Because in my constituency, Mamabi, I'm inviting you, the media, please help this country. Go to the health centers. Speak to the health professionals. Let them tell you how ready they are. Because like he said, when you watch what other countries are going through, and I agree, 1,000 times, God forbid, if we begin to get the number of cases that those countries are having, really, how ready are we as a nation? Let's test our systems. Let's get to the ground.
But we know that. I mean, we all do know
that.
We are aware that we don't have good systems. We will simply be consumed.
But
that's why we're taking these measures, at least what we are taking, and we want everybody to take it serious.
So you see, when you get to the ground, you know what is beyond us and what shouldn't be beyond us. For example, I've spoken to health centers in my constituency, and they don't even have gloves, hand gloves.
But you see, Alasan,
that's not politics. But you see, because that's where I was saying that's why I don't want to be even the one doing it. So get to the ground as media.
So do I hear you say that because of the possible politicization, we're not even able to come out with the needs, with what we lack?
Exactly the point I'm making. Can I finish? Can I finish?
Just a quick interjection. You see, you need to bear in mind, and I'm happy to engage in dialogue, that not every health center has been designated as a facility for receiving people who have these, who exhibit symptoms.
Yes.
Okay.
But not so everybody who exhibits would also immediately go to a facility that's designated. And we've seen that even happening in Accra.
True. And so
maybe just
to
also provide you with information. Again, you are right. Not everybody who exhibits the symptoms will make the first contact with a designated health center. He or she may go to a center that is not designated, but it's close, proximity. So now the directive also there is that once it is detected at a center, it is supposed to be contained there. No, the health service workers have been directed not to move patients.
So what is
are you aware of it?
So what is your?
Are you aware of it? So the thing is that
because I know the one case that went to Nyaho, for instance, the hospital asked him to go to Rich,
and it was after that it was given that where it is detected, it must be contained there because in the movement.
So what is your recommendation? Because you know the situation in your constituency.
My recommendation is that first of all, let us do things as a nation that shows that we are in crisis and we are aware of the dangers that this disease poses to us. So first of all, National Identification Authority should stop this registration exercise. It's not in my constituency, but I'm saying that these are some of the things that make people feel that really there's really no threat.
I'm not sure, was this raised on the floor yesterday? Because this was raised at the press briefing.
I think so. I didn't stay throughout.
But not on the floor.
Yeah, I didn't stay throughout. But I'm saying that, you see, when I go to my constituency, and I'm even educating people on the need to limit gatherings, and trying to justify why they shouldn't go to the mosques, and try to justify why churches have to suspend, then I see pictures or videos, or they show me evidence of people gathering to do national registration exercise. It affects that communication.
Okay. So is this something?
The second issue is that the basic PPEs, masks, the nose masks, the gloves, the hand sanitizers should be distributed to all health centers across this country. I don't think that is something we can do.
Okay, but fortunately you sit in Parliament, so you have the power to put an urgent question, gets the appropriate people to come and help us with some answers.
This is not time for those. Look, the president told us how much has been allocated, even though we have been told, like our Nigerian brothers say, that it was just audio money. By the finance minister, it was audio money. The thing is not available. But at least we were told earlier. By, WHO that the government had made, I think, 2.5 million Ghana cedis available. Now, how are we spending that? When they should have made 35 million, I think, but they made 2.5 available. How are we spending that money? Is it difficult for us and for you in the media to find out how many of these hand gloves and sanitizers they have bought? Should it just be me, the MP, going to Parliament to raise that question?
It should be all of us.
Yes, it should be all of us.
You know,
but I'm saying that. But that's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that. You see, that's why.
Tricky.
Remember what I started? I started by saying that because I am NDC, I sit in Parliament and I raise a question, and then it's politics. But you go there, please, help this nation. Go to the people, ask them the relevant questions and the preparedness levels. You know, and former President Mahama made this request. Up to today, nobody in government is even speaking to that. Nobody in the media.
To which issue specifically?
The issue of setting up isolation centers in all 16 regions. It is that important.
Okay,
because
I want us to
where
touch
the next case is going to come from.
Okay, great.
And
I want us to touch
politics.
on the EC before we wrap up, but of course I want to give you the opportunity. He's making some very good points there. I mean,
you see,
you said devoid of politics, and this is an open conversation.
No, I don't have a problem, but my expectation would be that PPEs cannot get to all health centers in one day. It will be graduated. It will
but it's been a while now.
Of course. I mean, Mamavi, sitting here, and I always say, I only know law. I don't know public health. I'm not an expert. But the assurances and the statements that the Ghana Health Service is releasing, the daily briefing that we are being provided, gives me comfort.
Yes, but in your constituency, if you know there is a health facility that doesn't have the right equipment,
my constituency has a regional hospital, and as far as I know, they have PPEs that they're working with. That is not to say some health facility in Bodi, in the Western North, has the same. And so I would urge that if smaller health facilities across the country don't have those equipments, expeditiously, they should move it there. There's no difficulty. But you see, Mavi, you sit here, you work in a corporate organization. Your chief executive is informed of a situation that has arisen and tells your head of finance, give them 2 million cedis. Right? The expectation will be what? That, oh, there's cash sitting and the head of finance is going to just pick it and give it to you. Or that he has to look for the funds to give to you. You see, yesterday I was on another platform with my very good friend, and it's strange how we MPs who know how our financial system works, our budgeting system works, would say that because the president said that the finance minister at his prompting has made available $100 million, that money is sitting in Bank of Ghana and that he is just writing checks.
They have every
in any
right
event, no, hold on. It can never be. Because there's a budgeting process. You approve the budget. Did you approve $100 million for COVID-19 fight? Did you? But the finance minister has to go through a process. He only acts on directives from the president.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong when people are asking questions
wrong with people who ought to know.
Asking for
That's where the
transparency and accountability.
You heard the words he used? Audio money. You heard him. Did you hear him? Yet they say we are not playing politics. Look, prior to the announcement by His Excellency the President, not only 2.5 million cedis had made available. 2.5 million cedis went first, and an additional $2 million equivalent went. Yes. These are, look, you see, hold on. But of course, they are procuring them.
And please get ready to
manufacture
wrap up.
PPEs in Ghana.
Get ready to wrap up.
You
I think the difficulty
to acquire these things and distribute.
Okay, so
I'm saying that, you see, let me stick to this 100 million thing that our friends want to play political chasquille with.
Are they?
Of course, that's exactly what they're doing. Look, government finances, okay, come in various components. Indeed, prior to this directive, the health minister informed all of us that they were putting up isolation facilities. Kolebu, I hear, they are building a facility there. Okay, government has provided funds. And yesterday when the finance minister came to parliament, he said, look, because our physicals are going to be impacted, several receipts are not coming in. Oil receipts, import receipts are not coming. And so we would fund the 100 million partially from our own resources and also tap into some additional financing from the IMF to meet that expenditure. What it means is that, yes, government is committed to spend the $100 million if need be, because it cannot be the case that if tomorrow coronavirus ceased to exist, you would say that government provided 100 million, so you should have spent all the 100 million. It can never be the case.
I think the questionings are right, because
you see, look,
if some of these questions don't come up, then we wouldn't even get any answers at all.
Mama V,
this is sensitive. This is a sensitive
don't
issue,
have a problem,
but it doesn't stop us from asking the questions that will bring some of the things out.
You can ask questions. I don't have a problem. But if a member of parliament sits in a television studio and says that what the president said is audio money, is that the case?
I see where
is
you're
he asking
from.
questions?
I want us to.
Or he's playing politics with it.
Of course, it's audio money.
Look, listen. You see?
Well, so
no, hold on.
What do you mean by audio money? The fact that
the money doesn't exist.
He said it. Yeah, but he's directed his finance minister to get it.
No.
I mean, no. but what were you expecting him to do?
No, Mama V. You see, sometimes I think we have too much tolerance of the NPP government.
Really?
That when they even lie to us, we begin to question our intelligence by saying, oh, we didn't understand them. Our tolerance level is such that when they are so dishonest, blatantly dishonest, we still question ourselves, our intelligence.
So help us appreciate.
So for example, the president said, at my prompting, the finance minister has made available. At my prompting, he has made available $100 million. Not will, maybe even if he had said will make available, I would have been okay, maybe that makes sense. He has made available.
So you're using this,
the English that I was taught in school.
Choice of
yes,
words
the English I was taught in school does not give it any other interpretation.
Then
the money is available.
Okay. So
and when he says that I approved a budget, yes, I approved a budget in Parliament, including contingency fund, which is part of the budget. So if the president says, at my prompting, the finance minister.
Okay, I guess the one thing we didn't want to do, I think we're almost doing it. So let's move on and talk about. Let's move on and talk about the EC before we wrap up. I beg you. Let's talk about the EC before we wrap up.
But I'm saying that as for that audio money, it's audio money. I don't know if he's uncomfortable with it.
But I'm not sure. I don't
because
think
the finance minister
when you say audio money, like how?
How is it not fair? The finance minister says the money is not there. The minister, the president told us the money is there.
Has he said the money is not there?
No, he says that they are now raising the money.
So he's raising it.
No, but the money, as we speak, the assertion of the president is incorrect.
This is a government that found 13 billion to pay for your mess.
Is there something that
in the financial sector?
Is there something? Mr. Mesa, let me ask a question.
Mr.
Mesa, let me ask: is there something that we've requested for funding that hasn't been made available?
I don't understand.
Okay, so do we know if somebody went forward with a request that was not funded out of that $100 million equivalent? I'm just saying that we haven't been told of any challenges with money.
Have you gone to ask?
And I haven't, but I'm saying that nobody has come up.
Shouldn't you be going to ask?
Nobody has come up. So I'm asking you, has anybody come up with a challenge?
Shouldn't you be asking?
It's a relevant question to ask, but I'm saying that for now.
But should you be asking me or those in government?
Are you alleging?
Well, I mean, everybody.
You are saying that the money doesn't exist.
No, I'm not saying that. The finance minister is saying the money doesn't exist.
That's not what he said.
That's what he said.
That is not what he said.
Please, did you listen to him?
Okay.
I did listen to him. In fact, I have a copy of his statement here.
Mr. Mesa, we're not going to a copy of his statement now. We're talking about the EC because we have to wrap up. We have just very little time to wrap up.
Said they're now raising their money.
Let's talk about the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
Because they put something before Parliament yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I spoke to a member of the committee, the Legal Constitutional Committee of Parliament, Mr. Roxanne Napamako, who pointed out that there is a provision, what is required to do the registration, the fact that it's limited to the Ghana card and the passport, and that's not good enough. I don't know what you also think, because you're representatives of the people and you're in Parliament.
That's what the Electoral Commission is seeking to do.
Yeah, but what do you think of that? Isn't that too limiting?
How is that limiting? there are 3 modes of proving your citizenship. You either have a Ghanaian passport or a Ghana card, or that 2 people who have a Ghana card and who have registered with the Electoral Commission would confirm that I know Mama V, I grew up with her in secondary, and so she is a Ghanaian, and I can attest to her citizenship to allow her to register. How is that limited?
And I can use my birth certificates.
You see, I haven't seen the legislation.
I have seen the exact provision.
No, it's fine. And birth certificate is not an ID. Okay?
But it's proof of
Citizenship. And so I would expect that the birth certificate will be part, together with some additional. I need to confirm. I haven't seen it. Okay? But you see, the suggestion that the existing voters register has been taken out, and that in itself is an attempt to disenfranchise some Ghanaian citizens, beats me. Why? How did you obtain the Ghana card and the existing voters register in the first place?
I didn't use the Ghana card.
No. I'm not saying that you did. How did you obtain it? You used an ID. You used some means to prove that you were a Ghanaian before you got that card. So produce it. What's your problem?
So we are saying that the card that people use just in December, they can't even use that to procure another card.
Maybe it's not a matter of time. If there was no district level election in December of 2019, what would you have said?
But there was.
No, I'm saying that assuming that there was no election in December, because there was no election in the previous December, was there? District level elections happen every 4 years. The Electoral Commission is rolling out a new system, they've told us. Unless, of course, some circumstances change that warrants their not proceeding. Because I've heard that adjourned the 18th to another date to be communicated. But they are rolling out a system that seeks to improve the existing system that we have, including ensuring that we have a credible register devoid of foreigners and non-Ghanaians. And so if we have a Ghana card, and I would have wished that we had completed the Ghana card exercise, because all this talk of voters register and all this, I believe would be moot.
But previous voter cards we've used, because even in after 2016 we've done the limited registration exercise. In 2018 we did limited registration exercise. Before we went to the polls. 2016, 2018, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And we've always used. If you have a card, I mean that's a form of identity. We use it today. I can use my election card today as a form of identity. Why can't I use it to get another card?
As a form of identity.
Are you coming from a majority side, as in an NPP side? Or we are all talking as Ghanaians, knowing our peculiar...
purely as a Ghanaian.
But
that's why I said to you.
But what we've traditionally always done. But I mean, why should we be really limiting in terms of what?
Where is the limitation? It's what I asked.
You don't see it.
Where is it?
You don't see it.
Where is it?
Do you have a Ghana card, please?
I do.
Okay, I don't have a Ghana card.
Yes, but there's an opportunity for you to register and pick up a Ghana card. Don't you have a passport?
Not every. How many?
No, I agree,
how many people have passports?
But that's why there's
Mr. Suhuyini, let me give you the opportunity.
Hold on.
Okay,
that's why there's another option.
Which is the other option?
Which is that 2 people
but so
can confirm to your Ghanaian nationality.
I seem to have a challenge.
Where is the challenge?
Okay,
I want to know.
I'll tell you about it. Let's hear.
I share your frustration. First of all, it is clear to me that our government is more concerned about the next election than even the crisis that we are in at the moment. It is very clear that the focus is about the next election, and the rest of us, they don't mind us being consumed by coronavirus if they win the next election. Okay. That is why, for example, the National Identification Authority is still carrying out, registration against all advice, even from the Ghana Medical Association.
Unfortunately, we